What's up guys, Meredith with ExtremeTerrain.com, and today we are checking out the Switchback Sequential LED bar projector headlights with the matte black housing and smoke lens fitting all 2016 through 2023 Toyota Tacomas. If your factory headlights are either worse for wear or you're struggling to see at night, these headlights will be a good price solution while adding a lot of extra style into the mix. Now, the dark housing, the sharp DRL, and the projector lens will do wonders in refreshing the front end of your Tacoma without going over the top if you want a light that's going to add character without a super flashy appearance. This set's two biggest attributes are the projector lens and that daytime running light there. Now, starting with the driving light, this projector lens paired with the H7 bulb will do wonders compared to your factory lighting, throwing the light farther down the road, creating a very clean cutoff line and a concentrated beam pattern for clear visibility, which is vital for driving at night, especially in remote areas. Now, the daytime running light will be just as important, not just for styling, but it will keep your truck noticeable and will have a switchback sequential function to illuminate in an amber sequence whenever you hit the turn signal, which will help keep you safer while you're driving your Tacoma around on the street. This headlight here is going to have a pretty standard and a very solid build with a matte black ABS plastic housing that will be molded to the factory specs for a direct fit. Now, the lens on the front will also be up to factory standards, withstanding any road debris or the elements over time, keeping that new appearance. The LEDs on the inside will also be incredibly efficient, drawing low energy for a long lifespan compared to a halogen bulb. One of the best parts here is the fact that these are going to be fully plug and play, so you don't have to do any additional wiring thanks to the OE style connectors, and these are going to be DOT and SAE approved for a little bit of peace of mind. This set's gonna come in at about $575, which is right in the middle compared to other choices available on the site. I think for this set, this is going to offer a really good compromise for the price with the hybrid halogen and LED design, the very sharp DRL, and the plug and play application. Now, that will keep the price a little bit lower compared to some other flashy or full LED designs, while still offering you great lighting performance and being great if you want more of that toned down style that's far from basic or those OE style choices. Install, like I mentioned, is completely plug and play, so I'm giving this a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and it should only take you about an hour to get them installed. Now, speaking of the install, one of our customers here has put these on their Tacoma and is gonna walk you through step by step on how to get this onto yours at home, so that's gonna wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
All I used for this headlight install was the 10mm socket, the flat-headed screwdriver, and the plastic trim tool there. Gonna be doing the headlight install today from the stock on the 2017 Tacoma, putting in the switchback sequential LED bar projector headlights. So to start off, we're gonna need to remove these two 10mm bolts and these two clips. This will help us get the grill off to have better access to remove the stock headlights. All right, so starting with the grill removal, we're gonna remove these two 10mm bolts, as well as these two fastener clips. You can use just a flat-headed screwdriver to remove these two clips here. This is going to help us get the bumper off, or the grill, I'm sorry. I believe it's 2018 or newer. You might have a TSS sensor that you'll have to unplug back here. Mine's a 2017, so I will not have that. So let's go ahead and get these bolts out. All right, now that the bolts are out, we can take our flat-headed screwdriver here and remove these two clips. They should just pop right out. And this is going to allow us to remove the grill. Now I do have a bull bar on the front of mine, so I might have a little more trouble getting my grill out of here just because I don't have a lot of extra space. The nice thing is also moving these pieces, you can be a little more forceful. The grill with a little finagling should go ahead and slide out here. And we can go ahead and take that off to the side. All right, so starting with the left front driver's side, there is another 10mm bolt and another plastic clip right up here. You can see on the fender. We got to remove those so we can take down part of the bumper here to get access to the headlight unit. And this clip, you can use a flathead screwdriver. You should be able to just kind of wedge that underneath there, pop it out. So that's the clip right there. Okay, now that we've removed that bolt and that clip from the left front driver's side here, there's another clip that's gonna be right below that headlight unit. We can just use our flathead screwdriver. And again, just go ahead and pop that out. That'll help us get a little easier access then to that unit. All right, now that we have all those clips and bolts out, we're gonna want to pull back on this fender flare a little bit to expose the front part of the bumper, because we're gonna need to pull that down as well so that we have access to a bolt that's gonna be under here for the headlight unit. So just a little plastic trim tool should be able to just kind of wedge it in there, and again, gently just pull these first couple of clips to expose the front part of that bumper. So since this is pulled back, we're good to move to that next step. All right, so with that fender flare loose, we're gonna want to put on a little bit of pressure here. Once you hear that pop, there we go. We're gonna pull this down here to expose. You can see that 10mm bolt in there that we will have to remove as part of the headlight removal process. All right, so now that we have the bumper pulled down and we've exposed this 10mm bolt, let's see. There we go, in there. We're gonna remove that. So you're gonna have to pull the bumper back a little bit. I brought this little magnetized tool here, just so I don't lose the bolt inside the bumper. So once we have that out, then we need to also remove these two 10mm bolts as well. These last two 10mm bolts we're removing on top of the headlight housing. All right, so we are now almost ready to remove the headlight unit. However, to have a little more room to get it out of this space here, we're gonna go ahead and remove this plastic shield that's gonna be held in by this this clip here, and then two clips in the back. So we'll go ahead and take a flathead screwdriver. Wedge it in there, pull it out, and again, should be another one of those. You can just put on a little bit of pressure here. Slide that on out of the way. All right, now that plastic shoe is out of the way, the last thing that's really holding this headlight in is going to be this clip here. I've seen mentioned to sliding the headlight unit in towards the grill to remove it. However, just from looking at it, I think that I can just go ahead and grab onto the headlight. Make sure it's loose up here. Put a little pressure on it. And we have that headlight loose. We just need to go ahead and unplug these headlights here. So that first one is going to be the daytime running lights, low beam, high beam, and there's the turn signal. So with that, we have the stock headlight removed. All right, so next we're gonna hook up the new headlight, starting with the daytime running light. These wires are marked high and low, which is nice. You know which is your high beam and your low beam. You should just be able to snap these right in. And last but not least, with the blinker here. All right, and then at that point, it's all about reversing the entire process that we just did to get this out. We're gonna do to get back in. All right, so we're just gonna make sure we're lining this up with where these 10 millimeters came out. And don't forget this clip down here. We're gonna slide this piece back into. Should hear that set. All right, looking good. Gonna come back up here and make sure we're lining everything up with the bumper. I'll bring this in here. Time to start replacing some clips. I've got one in here on this plastic flap. And then we're gonna have this one right here. It's lined up with the bumper. Make sure that's pulled out the top there, push it all the way in, and you'll hear the clip. Next, we need to put our two 10 millimeter bolts back in the top here. And then we've got one more 10 millimeter bolt, which if you remember, goes into the side of the headlight housing on the bumper side. All right, so on the side here, we're gonna take our 10 millimeter socket and we're gonna go ahead and put this bolt back in. Side of the unit here. Again, it's a small space, so don't be afraid to put a little pull on that bumper. Just tightened down in there. Okay. And now, pop the bumper back in. Just want to make sure you line it up here along the ridge. So we're resetting the bumper here. might be helpful to use a little trim tool to get it seated in this seam up here properly. Have to pull back on that. There you go. Alright, now we're clipped in there. And we can go ahead and clip in our fender flare. Might have to push from the inside here to get it to lock in, line up. Alright, the last thing that should be left to do on this side is we're going to replace the 10mm bolt and the fastener. This fastener is just going to pop back in here at the bottom. And this bolt goes directly above it. Tighten that down. Also might help just put a little pressure on that fender flare there and the bumper, making sure we're all lined up. All right, all we're gonna do with the fender flares is put a little bit of pressure on it here. Make sure our clips are lined up. And then we're gonna go ahead and replace our clip and our 10mm screw. Again, this clip just reinstalls here on the bottom. And the 10mm screw. A little pressure on that. Okay, last thing to do is to go ahead and reinstall our grill. I already hooked my Raptor lights back up here, so I'm gonna make sure you line up the bottom of the grill here. Just give it a little push. It should be back in. And down here, and it looks like all my tabs are lined up here with the openings. So all that's left to do then is reinstall our little fasteners in the front here. And our two 10mm bolts. Alright, and that's it. I'm giving a little tug here. Looks like the grill's in place. I'll go ahead and get the headlights wiped down.
So that is going to wrap it up for my review and the install on the Switchback sequential LED bar projector headlights with the matte black housing and the smoke lens fitting all 2016 through 2023 Toyota Tacomas, and you can find these right here at extremeterrain.com.